She said, "I'm so tired, I'm just going straight to bed." Then I heard her sneak out the back door. I didn't follow her. I just bolted the door from the inside and went to sleep. She discovered how tired she was when she was locked out of her own house at 3 a.m. with nowhere to go. I'm a creature of habit. I know, it's not the most exciting personality trait. I wake up at the same time every morning. I have the same thing for breakfast. I enjoy the quiet predictability of my life. I'm a sound engineer. I spend my days trying to eliminate unwanted noise. So I guess it makes sense that I value peace and quiet in my personal life too. My ex-girlfriend, Amy, was the opposite. Amy was a human hurricane. She thrived on chaos, drama, and spontaneity. For the 5 years we were together, I told myself this was a good thing. She was the exciting, unpredictable force that balanced out my quiet routine. I was wrong. She wasn't balancing my life, she was just constantly trying to capsize it. We Amy'd in a house that I owned. I bought it a year before I met her. It's a small, solid brick house on a quiet street with big oak trees. It's my sanctuary. When she moved in, I was happy to share that sanctuary. But over time, I realized she saw my quiet life not as a peaceful harbor, but as a boring, stagnant pond she was determined to throw rocks into. Her need for constant stimulation was exhausting. A quiet Friday night with a movie was, to her, a sign of our relationship's imminent death. She'd start to get fidgety, pacing the Amying room, staring at her phone. "Isn't it crazy that we're just sitting here?" she'd ask. "There's a whole world out there, and we're just sitting." To me, sitting with the person I loved was the whole point. To her, it was a prison sentence. This led to a pattern of behavior that, for years, I chose to interpret as her being free-spirited. In reality, it was a pattern of casual, constant deception. It was never about huge betrayals, not at first. It was 1,000 tiny lies, all in the service of chasing a momentary thrill. There was the time she told me she was going to a boring work dinner she couldn't get out of. I felt bad for her. I made sure the house was clean and had her favorite ice cream waiting for when she got home. She stumbled in at 1 a.m., smelling of tequila and confessing with a giggle that she'd actually gone to a warehouse rave with a friend from her gym because it sounded more fun. She didn't see it as a lie. She saw it as a funny story. I was just the punchline. Then there was the charity fun run. She told me she was running a 5K for a local animal shelter. I was so proud of her. I got up early on a Saturday morning, made a big sign that said, "Go Amy, go," and went to the finish line to cheer for her. I waited for 2 hours. She never showed up. When I finally got a hold of her, she admitted she had never signed up for the run. She and a friend had decided at the last minute to drive 2 hours to a different city to try a new trendy brunch spot they'd seen on TikTok. "Don't be mad," she'd said, laughing. We got some amazing pictures. My wasted morning, my hand-drawn sign, my worry, none of it mattered. The only thing that was real to her was the fleeting excitement of her impulsive choice. The biggest red flag, the one that I should have paid attention to, happened about a year before the end. My best friend Sam was getting married. I was the best man. It was a huge deal for me. The wedding was on a Saturday. On the Friday before, Amy was supposed to help me with some last-minute errands, and then we were going to the rehearsal dinner together. She called me that afternoon. Her voice was full of panic. Her aunt, she said, had fallen and broken her hip. She had to drive to her parents' town immediately to help out. She was so sorry, she felt terrible, but family had to come first. I was completely understanding. I felt awful for her and her aunt. I went to the rehearsal dinner alone, making excuses for her. I handled all the best man duties by myself. The next day, at the wedding, I was getting texts from her about how stressed she was at the hospital. Then, during the reception, a friend of mine who hadn't been at the rehearsal dinner came up to me. "Hey man," he said, showing me his phone. "Your girlfriend is having a wild time in Vegas." He showed me an Instagram story. It was posted by one of Amy's friends who I didn't know very well. It was a video of Amy, front and center, screaming with laughter as she rode a mechanical bull in a crowded Las Vegas bar. The timestamp was from 2 hours earlier. There was no broken hip. There was no hospital. There was just another lie, another chase for a bigger, better thrill. My best friend was getting married, and she had invented a family tragedy so she could go to Vegas. I confronted her when she got back. She didn't even try to deny it for long. She just deployed her usual defense. Oh my God, it was just a little white lie. I didn't want to hurt your feelings by telling you I wanted to go with my friends instead. You get so sensitive about things. I was going to tell you eventually. Why do you always have to make such a big deal out of everything? I didn't have an answer. I just absorbed it, like I always did. I let the resentment settle in my gut, another layer of sediment at the bottom of our relationship. I should have ended it then. I know that now. But I loved her, and I'm a creature of habit. Our life together was my habit. This brings me to the night it all finally ended. It was a Thursday. It had been a long, stressful week for me at work. I was looking forward to a quiet night. Amy got home around 7 p.m. She looked exhausted. She gave me a quick, distracted kiss and sighed dramatically. I am so unbelievably tired, she said, dropping her bag on the floor. Work was a nightmare. I think I'm just going to have a quick shower and go straight to bed. Okay, honey, I said. Do you want me to bring you some tea or anything? No, I just need to sleep, she said, already walking towards the bedroom. Don't wait up for me. Something about it felt off. It was a performance. She was playing the part of the exhausted girlfriend too perfectly. But I ignored the feeling. I made myself dinner, sat down to watch a documentary, and tried to unwind. Around 10 p.m., I went to our bedroom to grab a book. She was in bed, under the covers, with the lights off. It looked like she was fast asleep. I went back to the aiming room and read for about an hour. Around 11 p.m., I decided to turn in myself. I walked down the hallway, and as I passed the back door in our kitchen, I noticed it was unlocked. I always lock the back door before bed. It's part of my routine. I thought it was strange, but I just locked it and continued to the bedroom. When I got to our room, the bed was empty. My heart didn't even pound. It just felt heavy. I stood there in the doorway for a second, looking at the empty bed, the rumpled sheets where she had been pretending to sleep. I knew, with a certainty that settled deep in my bones, that she hadn't just gone to the kitchen for a glass of water. I walked back to the kitchen. I looked out the window into our dark backyard, and that's when I heard it. A faint sound from the other side of the fence that separates our yard from the alleyway. It was her laugh. That loud, unrestrained laugh she used when she was trying to impress someone. It was followed by the low rumble of a man's voice and the sound of a car door closing. Then, the car drove away. She had faked being asleep. She had snuck out the back door of our house to meet someone. She had lied to my face, again, just for a little bit of late-night drama. And in that moment, something inside me, something I had been pushing down for years, just broke. It wasn't a loud, angry snap. It was a quiet, final crack. I was done. I was done with the lies, the chaos, the constant feeling of being a supporting character in my own life. I was done with the noise. All I wanted was peace. All I wanted was one single night of uninterrupted sleep in my own house without wondering where she was or what lies she was telling me. I didn't get my phone to text her. I didn't get in my car to follow her. I just walked to the back door, the one she had so carefully left unlocked for her return. I looked at the deadbolt. It was a simple, solid piece of brass, a mechanism designed to keep the outside world out. I reached out, my hand steady, and I turned it. The thunk of the bolt sliding into place was the most satisfying sound I had ever heard. Then I went to the front door and did the same. I walked through the house, checking all the windows, making sure they were locked. I was securing my sanctuary. I went to bed. For the first time in a long time, I didn't lie awake, listening for the sound of her key in the lock. I didn't worry. I just closed my eyes and I slept. I slept like a rock. I was woken up at 3:15 a.m. by the sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand. It was a text from Amy. Hey, the back door is stuck. Can you come open it? I looked at the text and a slow, tired smile spread across my face. I didn't reply. I just put my phone back down and closed my eyes. A few minutes later, another buzz. Alex, are you awake? I'm locked out. Then another. This isn't funny, it's cold out here. Let me in. The texts were followed by a phone call. I let it go to voicemail, then another call. I silenced my phone. The quiet in the bedroom was beautiful. Then came the knocking, a soft, hesitant tapping on the back door. Tap, tap, tap. I lay in bed, listening. The tapping got louder, more frantic. It turned into pounding. She was rattling the doorknob. I could hear her muttering curses under her breath. She moved to the front of the house. The doorbell rang, a sharp, angry chime that echoed in the quiet house. It rang again and again. Then she started pounding on the front door, her fists thudding against the solid wood. "Alex, I know you're in there. Open this door right now." I still didn't move. I was a spectator at the premiere of her new drama, and I was the only one in the audience. She had created this chaos, and for the first time, I wasn't going to be the one to clean it up. The pounding stopped. I heard her walking around the side of the house, probably checking the windows. Then, my phone started buzzing again. A string of voicemails. The first one was furious. The second was tearful. The third was a mix of both. A desperate, rambling message about how she was sorry, how it was just a misunderstanding, how she was so tired and just wanted to come inside. I finally decided the show was over. I got out of bed, went to the front door, and spoke through the wood. My voice was calm and clear. "Go home, Amy." "What?" she shrieked from the other side. "This is my home, let me in." "No," I said. "This is my house. You are a guest here, and you decided to leave in the middle of the night. The doors are locked now." "I was just getting some air," she lied, her voice cracking. "I couldn't sleep." "I heard the car, Amy," I said, and the lie died in the air between us. There was a long silence. "You can't do this to me," she finally whispered, her voice small and defeated. "Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "But you're not coming in here. You wanted excitement. You wanted spontaneity. This is it. Figure it out. I'm going back to bed." I walked away from the door. The pounding started again, but it was weaker this time, less angry and more desperate. Eventually it stopped. I looked out the window and saw her sitting on the front steps, her head in her hands. A few minutes later, a car pulled up, one of her friends. She got in, and they drove away. The next day was a storm of phone calls and texts from her and her friends. They called me cruel, a monster, a psychopath. I replied to only one of them, her best friend Becca. For 5 years, I was the stable, boring guy she came home to after she was done chasing whatever thrill she needed. I was the safety net. All I did last night was remove the net. She's a grown woman. She can learn to fly on her own. I had to hire a lawyer to handle the process of her getting her things. I never saw her again. I packed up her entire life in my house into boxes. I paid movers to take them to a storage unit. I sent her the key to the unit and a check for her half of the security deposit from the first apartment we'd ever rented together, years ago. It's been 6 months. The house is quiet, it's peaceful, it's mine. I've learned that my quiet, predictable life isn't boring. It's strong. It's a foundation. You can't build a life on a foundation of chaos and lies. She said she was tired that night. I guess she found out just how tired a person can get when they're locked out in the cold at 3 a.m. with nowhere to go. She wanted drama. I just wanted to get a good night's sleep. And I finally did.